Have all your international bits in a 6-week block. Have the Nations League games there and then have the final. Do it all there instead of this September, October, November. Keep going away with the national teams. Keep putting pressure on these players and inevitably, hopefully, trying to avoid these injuries.
Right. And this conversation only comes up because there's a few Barcelona players that have come back injured. And many coaches around the world will complain about the same thing. From the national team perspective, so you work with a group of players for 6 weeks, and then you don't see them until when? So how do you actually follow the development of a player or the growth of a player? So now you're no longer constructing or building a national team. Now you're just, hey, these guys are ready for this time period and this moment in time. And then, since we're not going to see you until next year, that whole story that you just built here will be completely different there.
You can still see them domestically, though. You can still see them playing for their club teams. Like, how much time do they really have with these players to get kind of an insight into how good they are within the national camp?
First
One
of all,
or 2 days.
I don't know how you're looking at players like this.
Because I'm in the stands. Got my binoculars domestically.
It's not the same.
Right.
It's not the same. It's not the same as having these players with you and having these players as part of team meetings and how they carry themselves. And you need to have these interactions. You need to build a certain chemistry. And I know it's difficult in a short period of time. So in that sense, you would think, okay, well, yeah, the 6 weeks together would be ideal. Yeah, but then you don't see each other for another year. That's the part that doesn't make any sense. I understand that you're looking into protecting the players. And I want to protect the players as well. Believe me, my travel schedule with the national team was nonsense, and I had to go to all sorts of different places, and it was difficult getting back to your team. But that's part of being an international player. And while we can improve it, while we can make it better and actually make a serious attempt in making it better, I don't think that putting essentially a mini tournament for 6 weeks and then we'll see you guys next year, I don't think that's a solution.
At least you made the effort to go back to your club team.
No, thank you. Thank you,
The other question I have to this is, where is that 6 or 8 week block that serves every country well? While we're talking about Europe, what about the countries from the Southern Hemisphere? What about Asia? What about Africa? Where suits everybody well? And I simply don't think that 6 or 8 week block that everybody's throwing out and is happy to discuss fits. The system is what it is. It's not great, but until somebody realistically comes up with something better, let's just stop kind of floating these ideas that only serve the European nations, because I will always push back against that.
Mallorca then this weekend. Any problem?
Some because of the injuries, and there's a history of Barcelona, and actually most teams, when they come back from an international break, they seem to have a letdown. So I am sure that this is something that is being addressed by Xavi, and that they're not looking ahead to Champions League, which is going to be a critical time for Barcelona as well. So the injuries may cause a problem, but this is why you mortgage the future of the club, right? To have the depth, to have the power and the strength in this squad to be able to deal with this sort of situations. And in terms of key players, Lewandowski's still out there, Pedri's still out there, Gavi's still out there, Sergio Busquets still out there, and then those guys that may not be able to play, the options coming off the bench are guys that you should be able to trust. Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba potentially. These are guys that have had plenty of experience with Barcelona, and I'm sure that they're excited to get an opportunity to play. So I think they'll be okay against Mallorca. What happens in Champions League, I think that's more of a question.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.